What's up, guys? What is up? Welcome back to another episode of Deck Talk Podcast. And we've got one episode that I've been looking forward to because we have not ever had an angler that is from the West Coast, and we've got one today. And he is a real hammer from all of what I've been hearing. He is a stick and a half, guys. But guys, thank you for watching. And if you don't know, I'm Colin Burnett.
I'm Pappy J.
All right, guys. So this guest that we have on is from Mesa, Arizona. And his home lake is Roosevelt. And let's see, he is also, let's see, what is it? I know you are a Triton, sponsored by Triton, and the boat that he's got this year looks phenomenal. But we're going to talk about the story of how Marty got into fishing and how his life story and how he really became a pro angler now, and talking about the BAM 60. But guys, if you don't know, this is Marty Lawrence. Marty, welcome, brother.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Heck yeah. So, and guys, Marty is 3 hours behind, so he's right smack in the middle of his work day. And so, Marty, thanks for coming.
You bet.
But with that, Marty, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and like how did you get into fishing?
Well, grew up doing it with my dad and uncles and stuff like that when I was real young. And then we got a old boat in the early 80s and started fishing tournaments, my dad and I, and it just kept going and just got into bigger tournaments and started winning a few. And I said, well, hell, I'd like that. Then life happened, and whenever I really was getting into it, then life happened, and battled real bad addiction for most of my adult life till I cleaned up 17 years ago, and then got back in it and picked up right where I left off and decided I wanted to start competing again, and here we are. Saved my life.
And I tell people, and you're the epitome of what we tell people, that water therapy helps. I mean, does tremendous for people. Just right. Being able to be out on that water, it's just something about what it does to the human body to be able to get in touch with nature, and then to be able to crack back on a couple of fish. It doesn't hurt either. So
no,
you are definitely the epitome of when we tell people about it, because a lot of times when we're talking about that, we're talking about people that have like veterans and stuff, that how much being out on the water helps them out, and even if it's just for a day where they can kind of just release everything and just kind of decompress.
Right. It's fortunate where I live, there's some housing developments that have lakes that run through them. And whenever I was drying out, I would sneak in some of them places and just fish for a few hours every day, sometimes before work and sometimes after work and sometimes both. Right, and that's what saved my life, fishing.
Yeah. And it's funny because a lot of people say fishing has ruined marriages and stuff, and it saved your life.
Right. So. Right.
So, but
we made a couple of goals whenever I cleaned up on what I wanted to do, and fishing on the FLW tour was one of them, and accomplished that one. And that was really cool. I wanted to do it when I was a youngin', and I think I was actually like the oldest rookie on the tour whenever we was able to do it.
When did you fish the FLW?
It was 2019.
2019. So it wasn't too terribly much. What was
about
it?
25 years from when I wanted to do it till when I got to do it. So a lot of life happened between then.
Yeah, because I was trying to think uh, that when the FLW stopped and merged um, with the MLF.
I think it was like 20. Was it 21?
Yeah, I was thinking so. Yeah.
Because I
So
know I got called to come back in 2020, and then I opted out of that because of and I'm kind of glad I did because of all the mess that year turned into,
yeah,
and then just got our business really up and running on that year, and then just started cranking out the other events again to work my way back up.
yeah. Now,
So
when you fished the FLW, did they have a series that was on the West Coast, or did you have to come majority over here to the East Coast?
no, we had the Costa Series, and I think the Rayovac was Rayovac whenever I
Right,
started fishing and began in 2014. When I stepped up from the local events and went to the FLW in 2013 was actually my first one at Roosevelt, and then I wanted to pursue it, so then I just started fishing all of them at the one with Havasu, then it would go to the Delta or Clear Lake in the Delta, and then
right.
qualified for all the championships back in there.
Yeah.
So our first,
Now, how?
the first,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Sorry, I wasn't trying to interrupt.
The first championship we qualified for was at Paducah there on the Ohio. That's
Right.
some crazy fishing back there.
Yeah.
So
Because how is the fishing? Because I know that you fished out on the West Coast and the East Coast. Is the fishing? Is there anything? Is it different than from fishing from East Coast to West Coast, or is it kind of similar?
yeah, kind of similar. I would say we just got big deep reservoirs
Right, right.
for the most part.
So
I
we
mean,
can.
you can get shallow areas too, and a lot of rocks, a lot of rocky canyons and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
Roosevelt is actually the one that's got the most wood and trees and stuff like that in it.
So
yeah.
what
Sorry
lakes
about that.
on the East Coast that have you fished at? I'm
We
sorry.
in 2019 we started at Sam Rayburn, and then we went to uh, Lake Toho on the Harris chain, I guess is what that one is out there. And then we came back to Lake Seminole. That's a crazy place. And then went to Grand Lake, and then down to Chickamauga, and then Lake Cherokee, and then up to Lake Champlain was our last event that year.
So how was your experience on the Chickamauga Lake?
I got my butt kicked, but I learned a lot the few days I was there. But learned you got to really pay attention to the buoy markers out there in the middle of that place. And all actually on all those Tennessee River lakes, you could go from 40 foot of water up to inches in just
Yeah,
one quick turn of your boat,
Yeah,
and you really got to pay
and
attention.
yeah.
you're exactly right because Pappy and I were talking about it. Well, we talk a lot of nonsense and stuff in the truck while we're driving down the road and
Well,
stuff.
he does. I don't. Everything I talk makes sense.
But and that was one thing, like because Chickamauga and Gunnersville, I mean, it's nothing to have 300-400 boats on it on the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Oh
just
yeah,
tournament fishing, and uh, so we were talking about like man, because we were out a couple, I guess a couple days ago, almost a week, that we seen this dude just come up and just barreling right through. Even I mean, thank goodness the water right now is 4 inches below summer pool, so he was all right. And we were talking about man, if that was winter pool, man, he he would have lost the lower unit for sure.
Yeah.
right. Yeah, we fished one of the FLW Costa Championships at Kentucky Lake,
Yeah, and that's the
and
same way.
that's another one there. You got to pay attention on that one.
Yeah, I
Gunnersville.
Gunnersville. My mom's dad, my granddaddy, he used to have a camp on Kentucky Lake in Paris, Tennessee, and I can remember I was in the boat with a guy that worked with them. They had their cabins and stuff that was right next to each other. And so they would always go up there. And I can remember riding in his boat. And I wanted to ride in his boat because it was sparkly. I was like 7 or 8. And so, and I, uh, and I can remember we ran up on one of them sandbars on Kentucky Lake, and there went the motor. It was gone.
Right.
So
yeah, the sandbars are pretty easy on it. It'd be the rock shelves and everything that.
so
But it's a neat place fishing down through there. We fished Douglas Lake. I got some family that lives in Waynesville, North Carolina, and then we all was able to meet in a lot of them places. We all met from my mom and dad came on with me and my wife. She would fly out on some of them, but we had a lot of family and most all of them except for the Florida one that was too far for most of them to go.
now, was it a learning curve for you to go from fishing like a reservoir to going and fishing current?
Yes and no. Learning how they're setting up is
Right.
main thing. I don't mind fishing in the current. Sometimes the strong current gets a little weird, but
Yeah. Then when it does that, you kind of just got to look for them little eddies and stuff to kind of.
right.
And
Like on Gunnersville, and first time I went to Gunnersville, you're sitting there and you're not going nowhere, and then all of a sudden you're getting sucked down the lake, and then the fish automatically start biting. So, and then when you finding areas like that, that's how I tried to figure them places out, and then
yeah.
and
Well, and
some of it just you pick up a jig and a crankbait and just go and let it play out, and they usually ate it. So,
yeah. So because I assume that you have fished Clear Lake and the Delta, because those are two of my bucket list lakes that I would love to go out on and just try to just smack a big one on the face. So, what has been your experience on those two lakes?
well, got a love-hate relationship with the Delta. Mostly hate, but it is a cool place. It's fun, but I've done good there a few times, but I've had boat mechanical issues on all of them, so it's kind of middle pack. But Clear Lake is a lake you gotta go there. Right now you're catching limits of 8-10 pounders out there right now.
Oh, man.
So they're sacking 40-pound bags out there.
That
That's
is
crazy.
ridiculous.
Crazy.
That is crazy. Because I know, like, when was it? Chickamauga's kind of fallen off here the past 4 or 5 years. Because it would be every week that we were seeing 1 to 2 double digits being caught.
All right.
And then when that happened, like, Bass put Chickamauga as one of the best places to go bass fishing for big bass. Like, we were in the top 3 for like 9-10 years, and we were seeing all these, like, you go to a boat ramp, didn't matter what boat ramp it was, it could be some hole in the wall boat ramp, and you're seeing out of state tags in there. And
All right.
And it was, I guarantee you, it was like 7 to 3 out of state compared to what was local.
It's still
Sure.
better though, going go relatively compared to what it used to be
Yeah.
back 20 plus years ago.
Yeah.
I remember, when if you caught a 3-4 pounder, I mean that was good. That was a good fish on that lake back then. Now
That was before they put the Florida strand.
exactly yeah, and then they brought the Florida strand in, and then that's kind of elevated. Plus, which they also they helped out with the greenery, the milfoil and all that stuff. So there's been a lot of ups to it since they've been trying to help the lake out. And it's still a lot better than what it used to be. I'll take today's versus 20 years ago. Oh, anytime. 30 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, we're still hunting to get Pappy his PB, and we should get it here pretty soon. But I'd love to be able to get another double digit on chick. I got one here about a year and a half ago. Was the last one that I got. So, but
now I will say, I was fishing a tournament one time. It was a local tournament. We've been out there all day, and it's getting close to the end. I was throwing up along this rock bank, and there was a blowdown. And I was fishing. I think it's a worm is what it was. And I threw up in that blowdown. Man, I hooked something that day, and it still haunts me today. I never seen the fish, but all I know was that thing was big, and it was ripping drag. If it ripped my drag, it was big. But I never laid eyes on it, so I don't know what it was. I just, in my mind, it was a bass. But there ain't no telling what it was, though.
I had my second day of that FLW event there that I fished. I was flipping those lay downs and stuff like that, and I get a bite and I just couldn't get them out, and then they'd come off. It was just aggravating. They were big ones, and I mean, but practice. I won practice several times on the tour. When you go out there and kick butt and practice, and then you stink in the tournament. I mean, you come a long ways to like from Phoenix to Plattsburgh, New York to go get your butt kicked. That's
Well, they don't pay nothing, Marty, for practice champions. So.
But it was just a neat experience all around. I mean, and having my family there, and then the guy I ran with, Kevin Finley, is a really good friend of mine. We did it together, and I wanted to do it, and then he jumped in it, and we just ran it a lot of miles. Fun thing.
So, do you get to fish many of the Texas lakes?
We fished Sam Rayburn, and I haven't been back. We started the Wild West Bass Trail out here started the Apex tour, and then we ran into some problems there, and then Mark Lassane picked it all up, and we started the BAM Pro Tour. Just kind of he's really gotten this thing off the ground and doing great with it. But I haven't gone back to the south or back to the eastern part fishing since we started these circuits up.
Yeah.
And the BAM's really picking up a lot of speed, a lot of steam, and it's fun. And all the guys that are on there, they're just flat hammers out here. These guys that we're fishing with, they can go anywhere there's water, and they'll crack them. You guys are good.
Can you explain or tell us what the BAM 60 is for people that may not know?
Well, they can follow us on Bass Angler Magazine, and then follow us on Marty Lawrence Fishing on Facebook. But it's you can make the top 10. You go in, you get total weight. They take the 5 in total weight, and then keeper count. So you can go out if you get on a run of 14-inch fish and you catch 20 or 30 fish, then pretty good chance you're gonna be in the top 10 come Sunday. You're fishing
Right.
Friday and Saturday, and then you would run your keeper count. Plus, if you get big fish too, then you can double qualify, or just make sure you get in. And then on the third day, it goes to 0, and then you go for your best 5, like a regular tournament. But there's 2 ways to qualify for the top 10 on Sunday, and then this year Mark's got all the thing together where first place is 50 grand, and then it pays down to like 21 or 22 pays the field. So
now,
it's cool. It's fun. You got it on Tourney X. Tourney X is
because I thought Jen and Dustin said something that they were watching it on Tourney X or something like that, and but with the Tourney X, that's just measures the length, though, correct?
you measure it, and then you weigh it, then you enter it. You got to do all that before you put your pole back in the water again.
Right.
So it's just takes a couple of minutes for each fish, and then you take a picture of it, you weigh it, and then you enter it onto the leaderboard.
That's interesting because I've always wanted to know like how well Tourney X would work in the boating. In which I figured that it would do all right because that's what they do with the kayaks. I mean, it's just a different vessel that you're using. But it's interesting that they have, because talking to kayakers, they don't ever weigh anything. That's just all length. And so I like the fact that they have to where you can put your weight in, and to where you have that 2 options to be able to use the weight, or you could use the length.
Right. Yeah. You go in, you get your 5, just like a regular tournament, and then you just keep catching them. And if you call them out throughout the day like you do. So at the end of the day, when you go in, you take your best 5 fish, but you could have caught 40. So you can score 40 scorables or 30, whatever, and so then you can really stay up on the leaderboard that way.
Yeah. Now, what has been a question says, what is your biggest bass that you have caught?
Mine was just under 12. I think it was 11, 14, 11, 15. Just it was a caught it in practice for a 1 bass pro-am at Roosevelt. Another one of them practice winners.
I mean, he's living up to the practice champion right here.
Right.
So let's see. It says, Matt Dillon says, Marty, what is the difference in between the BAM 60 and the Elites and MLF?
The West Coast. I think it's a premier circuit, and it's going to be a premier circuit.
Yeah. And it's just going to keep on getting bigger and bigger.
Exactly.
Because really, the West Coast does not have that I know of, does not really have that premier top elite guys at a circuit for them guys.
Right. They've got all the top elite guys. There's a bunch of them out there.
They got elite guys. They just don't have a circuit.
And this one here, yes.
Yeah. So and that's one thing, like, we're able to go and we can talk to the elite guys, the guys on MLF, Bass Pro Tour and stuff. And I will ask them, like, where do they wish that the schedule will put them? And a lot of them say they want to either go to the Clear Lake or the Delta. But since everything is centrally located in the East Coast, it's not. It's not. They're not making any kind of money going out to the West Coast,
Right.
um, and which is sad because I would love to be able to see some of these guys go to Clear Lake or to the Delta and just see them break these lakes down and be able to showcase these lakes because there are phenomenal lakes out west that we don't even know about for being on the East Coast.
Right. We got that's another thing that I like about our BAM circuit out here is we're going to a lot of places that don't get the notoriety or the traffic and whatnot. So we're going to some of them places, well, a lot of them, and the fans are coming out and checking us out, and they're just phenomenal fisheries. Like Don Pedro last month when we were out there, that thing is just one after another
Right.
catching them spots, and but then you get that one, and then there's New Maloney's right up above it. They shut that one down right before we was able to get out there. But all them mother lode lakes there in the mountains are just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And Lake Shasta, everybody knows Lake Shasta, and then Lake Orville's right there too. And Clear Lake is, well, you just got to go there.
Now, I've grown up. I grew up in Nashville, and then in '99 we moved to Chattanooga, and so primarily, like I've grown up fishing on either the Cumberland River or through the Tennessee River. I suck. I mean, I'll flat out just tell you, Marty, I suck when it comes to deep reservoirs. I can do all right deep reservoirs that are kind of murky, but deep reservoirs that are clear, I might as well just go on and just hand you the money and just walk and just go home. It'll save me the frustration. And so how do you prepare, or what are you looking for when you're fishing those deep reservoirs to kind of more or less help me out? I mean, because I would love to be able to go, and I know that I got to spend more time on these deep water reservoirs, but I would love to be able to. All right, this is what I know that I need to look for.
Right.
So what is it that you look for, especially like if you go to a lake that you haven't been to? What are you looking for during that practice time to be able? All right, this is where I want to hit. This is what it looks. This looks great. I know it holds fish. What are you looking for, Marty?
Well, I mean, it's kind of pretty much old school. So, I mean, all the technology and everything is, me and that don't really get along. I still run a lot of bank and points and whatnot. And then if you see them, then on the new technology, when you see them, I've forced myself to use that stuff now more and more each time I go out. But it more or less just like grew up doing it, and you can look at a bank. Well, this one's going to more or less hold fish, and then if you don't catch one there, you just move on down. But
yeah,
rocks or just any change in
yeah, because usually like what I will do is like I know you got to follow. I mean, you cannot go wrong if you follow the bait.
right.
But sometimes to me, like let's say here, like on Center Hill or Dale Hollow, that bait may be over 90 to 100 foot of water. And I don't know, it just blows my mind. I don't know what it is, but it just like, what am I doing? Because I'm like you, I'd rather be, if I could fish within 0 to 12 feet, I could stay there all day long and I can catch fish.
Right.
But when it comes down to anything, when it goes to when you see 30, 40 foot, and then it just kind of, my mind just woo.
Yeah, that's the way I am. You get me past 15 feet on them ledges or something like that. I'm lost, man. I want to learn it, And and I know some guys that do it and are very successful at it. My brother, matter of fact, he's a heck of a ledge fisherman. Man, it's like pulling teeth for me. I can't. I don't understand it. That's just one thing I just don't understand.
Well, and I know
fishing 60 and 80 feet of water at Lake Shasta in January and just catch one after another. And then the guys tell me you just weren't fishing deep enough. Go, what?
and and the thing, like for me, and I guess because like with having my dad and then my granddaddy and stuff fishing with them, like I'm a very visual person, and so I prefer that I want to be able to see what I'm casting at, and then when you get out into that deep water, it's like I'm like, and my dad, he still does it today. It's with the forward facing sonar. I've been able to kind of adjust a little bit. I'm getting better at it.
Right.
But just because I have that forward facing sonar, they haven't started jumping in the boat yet, Marty. I'm waiting on that day.
I've caught enough on it to keep me really interested in it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so old school. It's like when I quit fishing to chase that other part of my life, I did the paper graph and the flasher was the hot ticket. Then whenever I come back, then all these other big old screens and everything. So it's been a learning curve. I know that. I wish I would have.
If talking about the new technology, what is your opinion on the forward facing sonar?
It's cool. I mean, I like it, and I mean, a lot of guys are complaining about it. A lot of the older guys are complaining about it because these people are learning how to use it, and they're just dominating with it.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to learn how to use it like any other tool. I mean, I don't. It's my opinion. I mean, if they want to limit it or what, but they don't need to just flat take it away. I know the one organization did, and a lot of guys are happy with that. Which I mean, that's their prerogative if they want to do that. But I like it, and I mean, I use it. I don't just go. I haven't rolled up on the spot yet that my screen is just lit up where you can just drop your minnow out there, your jig or whatever, and watch them eat it. But I've watched enough of them eat it to keep me really interested, though.
Right.
So,
well, the thing is I can't say that I've rolled up. I've rolled up this past. I guess it was February, end of February, middle February. I rolled up into this little slough, and I found some big ones, and it was lit up. That was the only time that I've ever seen it lit up. But now I can put you on some crappie now with that thing.
right.
We can go catch some crappie. But I'm right there with you. I think it's just a tool, and right now it's at the time who can use that tool better is taking it.
Sure.
I like the fact that Bass Pro or not the Bass Pro Tour limited it to one period. They didn't totally take it out. I don't think that any organization should completely take it out because I don't care what organization that they say that they are. They need that sponsor money just as well as another.
Exactly.
And so why are you going to take three of the biggest companies in fishing completely out of your sponsor pool?
Yep.
And so, because if you don't have that sponsor money, the payouts are going to be way different. And if you don't have the payouts just right or whatever, then you're not going to get the anglers, and that series is going to be no more.
Sure. Yeah, it would be cool to see one of them do it like you start out the old traditional way on day one, and then you can use that and whatever on day two, and then just kind of limit it like that, and
I just want to see him
that would be
go
all
out
right. But other than
last year.
that, just learn how to use it. And
Yeah.
I'm almost 60 years old, so that's the hard part. But I still get out there. I still get out there with them. I get them once in a while with these guys, but they're just a good group of anglers that we're fishing against out here.
Something that I've noticed with the forward facing sonar is it's like the younger generation has just took off with it, and then but the older generations are the ones that's really struggling. Oh, I won't say struggling with. We're having to adapt more to it, you know.
Well, but they've grown up. You got to think they've grown up with the controller in their hands.
Right.
And to them, this is video game fishing, to where you can actually feel the tug.
Yeah,
that's all it is to them. They know. And they know what to look for, and you could throw a kid that's 12, 13 years old, and I guarantee you, at 12, 13 years old, the first time that he goes out in it is going to be a whole lot better than what if we were the first time that we went out with it. We're like, what are we looking at?
Well, we know one.
Yeah,
right.
We know a 13-year-old.
Yeah, Hunter.
Yeah.
A friend of ours, a guy we had on last night, his grandson is 13 years old, and he's been using it for 8 years.
Yeah.
Has had it on a boat for 8 years. And his grandfather, but he told him, he said, I want you to know how to use it well, but I don't want you to depend on it. Because sometimes you're going to go to lakes that it's not going to be functional, especially down in Florida. Forward-facing sonar on a lot of them lakes you cannot utilize the best way.
Right. There's a lot of guys that are turning that transducer sideways and using it to benefit them on that shallow water as well. So some of them are really getting into it. Yeah. But it is cool. It's cool, but like you just said, it could get you in trouble. I've found myself, that damn thing's going to bite, and you keep chasing it down, and you sit there and you waste too much time on it. And
now, to me, what the most frustrating, because I've learned so much from it, and I'm not going to knock it. I think it is great technology. I've learned more fish habits, but the hardest thing for me is to see that fish come like meleeing up, just looks like they're just about to knock the stew out of
and then stop and
then turn around and go back to where they come. No. But I have noticed though, to where like if I have them chasing it, and to me, if I can get them to chase it for 25, 30 feet, I know I'm keeping them interested enough. And so I will go and I will change. I'll keep the same bait, but I may change the color on it, or I may change the size on it just a little bit, just to give that something a little different. Maybe it's something, and I've had some success doing that. And again, I can throw. I've seen it to where I've thrown through a school of 15, 20 of them. And not any of them don't even pay me no attention. Just let it just swim right by.
Right, you get them getting after one of them little minnows and reacting to that, but they're not eating it. And you put that one down and throw a little jig out there and let it drop past them, and then that sucker will go down. That's the experience I've had with it, where I've gotten them. Or you can't get them to eat that minnow; they'll follow it all day long. Then you just drop something different instead of the minnow out there, and then they've eaten it for me that way.
Now, have you gotten into throwing these big glide baits? Because I know that them glide baits are huge out west. So have you gotten into throwing any of those?
I don't have the confidence in it. I've thrown it a little bit, and I've got in with this Drink Crazy International. They make big baits and stuff. I got some of them. I'm going to I'm going to start spending a lot more time with it, but I don't have the confidence in it. I'm going to have to go one weekend or something and just have that's the only thing in my boat where you
Yeah.
can't, well, you ain't going to eat this
You
dang
don't throw
thing.
nothing
So
else. Yeah. And that's the only
pick
way
up
to
a
get better.
Texas rig or a jig or
Right.
something, but you just to
Right.
get the confidence, I think that'll be the only way I'd be able to do it.
Yeah. Now,
So,
now I got a question. Like on your boat, um, when you're fishing tournaments, what kind of like battery setup do you have? Because I mean, I know that. I mean, that's a paycheck. If you can't trust them batteries to last you all day or the whole tournament, I mean, you're done. So, what kind of battery setups do you have on your boat?
I got in with Volta Power USA, and they rigged my boat with that stuff, and we got 236 volts on the lithiums for my trolling motor, and then I got two 12 volts. They're getting ready to come out with a 16-volt
Oh, nice.
battery, and then we're coming out with one for a cranking battery too. But I've got two 12 volts for my just graphs only, the two 36s for the trolling motor, and then I still got the lead acid in for my lights, live wells, pump outs, and stuff like that. That's pretty simple rig. It's
Yeah,
just
because and which I don't have any of the lithium batteries. I've thought about going to it, and uh, so I knew, and that's the first. And I was just because I was having battery issues the last time that I went out, and so I was like, some odd reason it just popped into my mind. But so the besides like because the lithium batteries besides the lead batteries I don't think you have to charge them as much. They hold a charge a whole lot better. Am I correct?
yeah. I didn't charge mine when I first put them in there. I didn't charge mine for 3 days maybe. I didn't use it didn't use it just nonstop, but I used them a lot before I charged it just to see, and they were still just you hit your trolling motor and you're gone. And my graphs they never flickered, never did nothing. You hit the button on them, they come right back on there all the time. So there's plenty of power there,
Yeah.
and so far they're really getting fired up. There are a lot of new products coming down the pipe. But the cranking battery, I'm looking forward to getting that. And I mean, the 16 volt too. A lot of guys really wanted the 16, and I think a couple companies make it, but we're getting ready to come out. And if it's just as good as what we've already got, then it's going to be some good stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But it
Now,
just takes away a lot of weight out of your boat. Usually got three lead acids in there plus that fourth one, and then if you got a fifth one, like you're running in my nitro, I had five. I had three for my trolling motor, and then the graphs on their own battery, and then the lead acid for the starting battery.
now, what boat are you running this year?
I've got the Triton Patriot 20-footer.
Oh, nice.
That's like a
And
little rocket.
yeah, yeah. And I've rode in a new Triton not too long ago, and uh, Triton has come a long way
Right.
from. I mean, because like back when even 15, 20 years ago, the best riding boat out there was a Ranger. You could not get a better riding boat. And still today, Ranger still makes a very well riding uh, boat.
Yeah.
Right.
But the Triton that I was in, we were in some choppy water, and I didn't feel like I got beat up as much going through some choppy water. Like, I mean, we had winds 20, 25 mile an hour, and so I mean, we were just constantly just pow, pow, just going down the river, and it seemed to go through the water very well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this one really goes. It gets a little crazy haven't got it completely dialed in yet, but when I backed out of it, it was said the speedo was at 74. When I backed out of it, it started shine walking, and it still had a whole bunch of pedal left. So no telling what that little thing will do, but it's fast enough. So once I get it
Well,
dialed in, I'll have to try it again. But
right. My grandpa says you can't catch a fish going 70. I've had
right.
friends try a lot. So,
But no,
but
it's I'm on the Arizona State team with Bass Pro Shops and Tracker Marine. So I've been with them since 2014. So I've been in the nitro boat but I'm loyal to them. And I've been in the nitro boat and I just didn't see anybody that was promoting the Triton. So I said, well, hell, I've never had one. Let's try it. So we got in a Triton this year and so far it's okay.
now
Learning a lot
how's the
about it, but
storage on them Tritons?
there's a bunch of it.
Yeah.
So
So
the rod lockers, they're just two big rod lockers on it. Don't have the tubes like my nitro had tubes in the center and then one on the left side, but there's no tubes in than the Triton that I've got, and so you can just put a lot of stuff in them.
yeah.
And then there's the
Go
two
ahead.
tackle storage areas, and then there's just one in the Triton.
Right. Because I know a lot of my buddies and stuff to where if their boat had them tubes in it, they've taken them out anyways to be able to where they can put more rods and stuff in it. So
You got to put rod socks on them though, or else you just get a mess.
oh, it is
Either take
horrible.
your lures off of them or put rod socks on them, or else by the end of the weekend you're going to have a mess.
So, what has been with you being fishing all this? What has been the biggest thing that you've learned doing all the BAM 60 and fishing the MLF? What was the biggest thing that you've taken out of that? If somebody was to say, well, Marty, what do I have to do to be able to get to where you're at?
You know, I wish whenever I got back in, I've never fished as a co-angler. I never did, other than in team tournaments. Like once in a while, a friend will take his boat, so I'll fish as a co-angler in there. But I never did it, and I think that fishing out west here, I should have done that for at least a couple of seasons or so, because I mean, I've heard about these places growing up, and I wanted to do it, and I never did it. And so whenever I was finally able, I just jumped in with both feet and I just went for it. I mean, I can catch fish anywhere, and which you can, but when you learn from other people that live there or whatnot, then that would be, if I had to do it all over again, I would spend a couple of years as a AAA or co-angler.
Yeah, because we've talked to guys that had done the co-angling, and they said that was the best thing that they've done because you're able to see what these guys that are in the front of the boat, how they manage, how they position, and how they do things, because everybody may come up to this one stump or this one riprap, but one person just hammers down on it, and it's all because of boat positioning. And
Right.
and so, but then also being able to learn different kind of techniques. You seeing something, you may throw the same technique, but you with seeing them in person, you're able to kind of see the cadence that they're using to be able to get more bites. And so
Right.
they said
Especially
that was the biggest thing.
Right. Especially like the Delta. I mean, tidal waters. I mean, that's just tough in itself right there. I mean, you can go one day, you can just knock the heck out of them one day, and then the next day there ain't gonna be nothing there because you might have missed that timeline by 10 minutes or the tide. You know, the tide could have been in a different place. I mean, I got a couple of guys. Ken Ma, he's kind of explained it to me. I still haven't really done very good, but he's explained it to me, and I try to try to put a lot of his knowledge to work when I go there. But catching them is really not the problem. It's just getting there the timing when you can catch the big ones.
Right.
Yeah.
And so do you like? I know. Do y'all have a lot of like smallmouths in your area, or is it mainly just a largemouth?
And Lake Havasu, Lake Mojave, and Lake Mead, there's both. Apache Lake there was, you got on the eastern part of the state. You have Roosevelt, Apache, Canyon, and Saguaro are all just a river chain, and Roosevelt and Apache would have the smallmouth in it as well. Apache kind of died off, so I don't think I think they're restocking it with smallmouths. But back when I was growing up, both lakes had a good population of smallmouth in it. But all these ones on the Colorado River now are just big. They're just big brown tanks. And
That's
the
what I
Lake
like.
Mojave is where we're headed on Friday for our BAM Super 60. I mean, that water is gin clear. So some areas you can see down 30, 40, 50 feet. And so, but that not to be afraid of the clear water, because them fish still got to eat. I mean, I've done good there several times, but they're just big.
Yeah.
It's a really neat place, and you wouldn't think it by looking at it. It just looks like a desert, and there's not many not many trees around except the ones that somebody planted, the palm trees. But it's just desert, and you wouldn't think there'd be trophy class smallmouth bass in there. But at certain times of the year, it's 25 pounds or more to win it in the early spring, to win a tournament on that place. But the wind is a factor as well.
That was what I was gonna ask about, because I know I've drove a truck out west for I drove over the road for 2.5 years, and I know that the wind out west. I mean, there's nothing there stopping it, and it just
Right.
when it gets blowing, and then you can get into some of them little canyons and stuff, and it just funnels it, and just picks up speed as it's going through it.
Right. You
Uh,
got a big basin for here at Lake Mojave. Then when it's blowing north, then it goes into the river channel like a canyon. And same as with the south, when it's coming out of the north and blowing south, then when it goes through the basin and all the gusts, like we're expecting like 35 or something like that for Saturday. So we more than likely won't be going out, but we have gone out where that has came up while you're already out and you're in the middle of your tournament, and then the wind just blows and blows and stronger and stronger and stronger. And when it's coming out of the north, it can really get big down on the south end of the lake where it comes into the channel. And
Now,
just
whenever you have those wins, what are you focusing on? Like major points, or you going into the coves, or
oh
what would
yeah,
be?
you can get out and get on the outside where anywhere the wind is hitting the bank.
yeah.
And I mean, a certain amount of wind is your friend out at Lake Mojave, but and Mead.
Now, what
So
would a guy uh, out west throw, uh, like in a windy situation? Would it be same? Well, I mean, because you generally we're throwing. Well, I guess it really depends on the direction, but like spinner baits,
yep,
crankbaits, lipless. Is that
A
about the
rig.
same?
Yeah. Now,
It's pretty much like anywhere else. I mean, the reaction stuff,
Right,
spinner bait, crankbait. I mean, just all different depths of a crankbait.
right. Now, what about the spawn? How's the spawn out there?
And then I didn't get to fish any of it. We've been in off limits for the last month. So,
Okay.
but it's a cool, fun place to fish during the spawn. I mean, a lot of times they're spawning down in that 30-foot range, where you see them down in the rocks, and they look like they're only about 6-8 inches long. But whenever you bring him up, he's a 4.5, 5 pounder. It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, you wouldn't think, you flip your bait out to him and it's 25, 30 feet, but you can see that fish plain as day. And
well, see, and that just blows our mind because like we've been the past 2.5, 3 weeks, we've been spawning, doing flipping on beds and stuff. And Marty, we're fishing in 1 to 2 foot of water.
Yeah.
they're still, them fish are still spawning up shallow too, but I think a lot of them over the years have gotten tuned to what's going on here. So let's try to get out a little deeper cover, I think. I mean, but you can still certain times of the spring, you can get them shallow, and then I think they start trying. Some of them will start going deeper. That's my opinion. I mean,
yeah. So Marty, I want to give you the opportunity because I know that excuse me, you could not do what you do going around fishing professionally and stuff if it was not for your sponsors. So I want to give you a time to be able to shout out your sponsors because I know, I mean, again, you could not do it if it was not for them.
Right. They had a lot of help with GSM, Yamamoto, Dobbins Rods, Bass Pro Shops, Rico, DD26 Fishing, A&M Graphics, and Triton Boats.
Now, I just had a brain fart of just what it's been a long day. So when like with let's say the Yamamotos and stuff like that, do they limit you? Like, can you let's say, can you go and throw bruiser bait stuff or anything like that, or do they? Or because I know we've had people ask us about because we're with Bruiser, and but I mean we go out there. If we're catching them with Bruiser, then we let people know we're catching them with Bruiser. But if we're going out there and we're throwing some Zoom trick worms or something like that, or whatever that we just happen to throw on the hook or whatever, are they? Do they allow, like, I know they prefer you to throw the Yamamotos, but are they cool with having you to throw whatever you got to throw to be able to catch a fish?
Probably, I'm not real sure. I don't really throw. I throw Yamamoto and the big baits, big bite bait stuff, and now they've got robo worms, so don't really need anything else. And then a couple other sponsors, Drank Crazy, got some of their stuff. But as for them not allowing you to use different baits, I've never really looked into that. It'd probably be a good idea, but it never.
I know that I've talked to one person, and he's the one, and he brought it up, and he was like, because he was sponsored by one bait company, and they told him that they didn't want to see him especially if he had a camera on the boat. They did not want to see him throwing any other soft plastics besides what was theirs. And I was like, oh. And I'm like, so you'd rather the man to lose or not? I mean, not finish in the position to where he's making money and being able to advertise for you because he's not. You'd rather him not do as well because this other bait was catching fish for him.
Right.
If he had a camera on his boat. I was like, that to me, that was just ridiculous. If I was a company, because then everybody has a jersey that has their logos and stuff on. Everybody that's sponsored, it's on there. So if they come up there and they have a 30-pound bag and he's holding up fish and you see nothing but the plastic baits, you're like, oh, I want to try that out.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but Marty, where if somebody was wanting to follow you, how can somebody follow you on social media? What is your social media?
MartyLawrenceFishing.com and on Facebook.
So, guys, what we'll do is I will put in the description, I will put all his social media stuff in the description to where you just go and click on it. And so go see what he's doing. And also, I mean, if you get tired of seeing, if you want to go see an epic mustache, just go click on his page anyways. I mean, because he's got the epic. So, but guys, go follow him. Marty, thank you so much. We do have one question left for you. You want to ask it?
Marty, so if you had one person, past, present, that you could fish with on the boat for the day, who would that person be?
First off, I'd have to say my dad. He passed away a couple years ago. But then the next one, I would say Larry Nixon.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
He's been my guy since I was a youngin' coming up.
Yeah.
And it was cool. It was cool going into that first tournament at Sam Rayburn of our FLW tour season, and you get to meet all these guys that you followed as a youngin', and Larry just a class act, 100%.
Yeah, he's always, and the thing is it doesn't matter who you are. He's always somebody that takes that time, in which a lot of the anglers do. But
right.
Larry, I've seen Larry stand. He was supposed to be somewhere, and I've seen him stand another hour and a half just because people were wanting to talk to him.
Right. He treats you like he's known you 30 years.
Yeah.
And knew me 15 minutes.
Yeah. So, but guys, thank you for coming on. Next week, we have a guy that is coming on that is a kayak hammer, Ethan Jett. He's actually from my old stomping grounds in Nashville. Fished the Bassmaster Classic kayak division here this past year. And so we're going to talk to him about it. And thank you for all the people that came on. This is a new day for us. First day that we're going out on Tuesday. We had to change it because of our work schedule. And so thank you guys for coming on. And we'll see you next week.
It was a pleasure, Marty.
Marty, thank you again, brother. And
thanks for having me on. Looking forward to next time.